This one?
Yeah. Welcome to the April 17, 2024 school committee meeting. We'll salute the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Lay? Mr. Lay? Ms. Martin?
Here.
Mia Rourke?
Here.
Mr. Bahu?
Here.
Mr. Conway?
Here.
Ms. Del Rossi?
Present. Here.
Ms. Doherty?
Here.
6 present, 1 absent.
Section 3, Special Order Business 3.1, Spotlight on Excellence, Farm to School. Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and school committee members. We recently had a presentation by a combination of our RMAC and a collaborative that they're doing with Mill City Grows. A presentation was made to school administrators, and it was really inspiring, and it got a lot of praise for its initiative. So without getting into it any further, I'd like to turn it over to Alicia Spooner-Gomez from RMAC, who will introduce her guest.
Hi, thank you very much. I'm Alicia Spooner-Gomez. I am the General Manager for the Lowell Public Schools Food Service Department, and with me I have...
Hi, I'm Courtney McSparron. I'm the Co-Executive Director of Mill City Grows.
Well, thank you, Mayor, Superintendent Skinner, and School Committee for having us. Courtney and I are excited to share about our programs and our collaboration with Farm to School. We presented this, like Superintendent Skinner said, to the administrative team of Lowell Public Schools to bring knowledge of our programs, the Lowell Public Schools Food Service Program and Mill City Grows, and how we connect to form the Farm to School program for Lowell Public Schools. We did this so there'd be a better understanding of our programs, our collaboration, and how it can benefit the students and the community, and how we can continue to grow this program. As the General Manager of Lowell Public Schools School Nutrition Program, we're really proud of our programs. We serve school breakfast, lunch, snack, dinner, fresh fruit and vegetable program, and the summer food service program. Farm to School is one of our program enhancements we run that brings excitement to our menus and students. If you don't know, school food service is a highly regulated program. It is based on USDA and federal guidelines, and our menus are developed to meet these nutrition regulations. While meeting these regulations, we also focus on culturally diverse menu options. One example is our collaboration with Jessica Lander's history class at the high school called in her Tasting History Cookbook, which we feature on our menus. We also do local procurement of flavor-forward menu offerings and student favorites, of course. Our menu is filled with local produce, from little leaf lettuce to local carrots and potatoes from Joe Sikowski's farm, New England-grown kale, backyard tomatoes, which is grown in a greenhouse in Maine, and many other seasonal products based on the local growing season. We also monthly offer a Harvest of the Month feature based on the Massachusetts Farm to School program. This program features a local product monthly. This month is actually potatoes. So we are offering a baked potato on the menu. We have local sweet potatoes that are also being featured on our menu. And then to connect it, we do taste tests in our cafeterias along with education to our students regarding that. So this month we actually have an interactive potato plant poster that we go around in cafeterias so students can see how what a potato plant looks like, and then when they flap up the potatoes, it actually has nutrition information and fun facts about potatoes. So really trying to connect with the students, the food that they're eating, and then nutrition and food education behind it. So next month, we're actually going to be featuring local fish. So this is a quick synopsis of our programs, and I'm going to turn it over to Courtney to highlight Mill City Grows.
Thank you, and thank you for having Alicia and I here. Mill City Grows' connection to the Lowell Public Schools, but especially Alicia and her team, has created an amazing partnership. The mission of Mill City Grows is to foster food justice and improve physical health, economic independence, and environmental stability in Lowell through increased access to land, locally grown food, and education. For us, work with the public schools is central to this mission. We believe children who spend time outside are healthier. We believe knowledge about fresh produce at a young age leads to comfort with cooking and eating fruits and vegetables in adulthood. And we believe that having a population of children who ask questions about where their food comes from will bring a healthier Lowell. At the moment, we provide in-school and out-of-school programs. Our in-school programs include support for our school gardens, including planting days, harvesting days, and support days. These support days were created in order to help any teacher in the district who wants to incorporate the garden, food, or growing into their lessons. We also support 4 after-school programs a week. These after-school programs center on the garden in the warmer months and on science and exploration and food in the colder months. We spend 2 years with each after-school partner and hope that our time at each school invigorates the staff and students' interest in the school garden. And we are looking for 2 new partners for next year. We also offer 2 sets of cooking classes in collaboration with Alicia's department for children and their families. These classes give families the opportunity to make new recipes with fresh local produce and spend quality time together. We offer greenhouse and farm field trips and summer school support. And while these are the programs we love offering in schools, we're also eager to support the families of the students who access the schools. We have markets throughout the city and a food delivery program that families can use HIP funds. We manage the community gardens in the city and are happy to help Lowellians find a place to grow. We look forward to a long connection with Lowell Public Schools, its students, and families.
So as you can see, Farm to School enriches the connection with communities that have fresh, healthy food and local food producers by changing food purchasing and education practices at schools. It focuses on the cafeteria, classroom, and communities. Our current Farm to School committee is small, but mighty. It consists of Mill City Grows, our food management team, 1 principal, thank you, Dr. McLaughlin, and some educators. And we're continuing to look into expanding that and having as many people on it so we can really continue to drive our initiatives and really focus on providing the healthiest food and options and education to our students. We believe that exposing students at a young age provides access to nutritious, high-quality local foods so students are ready to grow and learn. It also benefits our community and our local farmers. Our department, like Courtney said, has had a long-standing relationship with Mill City Grows in many ways. And together we have similar values and missions for our youth and are glad to be able to share it on a more public level. So thank you for having us. Please reach out if anyone is interested in learning more or joining our community. We thank you for this time and for highlighting our program.
Thank you very much. 3.2, the appointment of Director of Special Education. Mr. Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am delighted to tell you that we have a new special ed director who is here, and I would like to have Ms. Desmond, who was very involved in the hiring, to introduce her to you. Ms. Desmond.
Thank you, Superintendent Skinner. I'd like to introduce at the podium Dr. Jennifer Doloth. Dr. Doloth has extensive experience in special education and has served as a teacher, an administrator, and a consultant in special education for more than 30 years. She has held the position of Special Ed Director for the City of Manchester, New Hampshire, the City of Nashua, New Hampshire, and in the School Administrative Unit 19, serving towns of Gulfstown and New Boston, New Hampshire. She's also been employed by the Southeastern Regional Education Service while participating on the New Hampshire Department of Education, Special Education, and Improvement teams, which have gone out and evaluated school districts' special education programs throughout the state of New Hampshire. She has a strong research interest in public school funding and how it relates to student achievement, property tax, and equity. Welcome, Dr. Doloth.
Thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here. I was really happy to receive the invitation, and I'm looking forward to serving the students, and I'm very proud to be part of the Lowell School District. Excited to get in and get started. I met with a really great group of special educators, and I was sold pretty early on, so I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you very much. Best of luck. Uh, 4.1. I'm sorry. Oh, go ahead. Okay.
Right. Welcome. You can't extend that position until the committee has approved it. So I know you've gone through your process. I know you've accepted. But the reality is that this body has to approve your recommendation.
Mr. Superintendent.
Yes, Ms. Martin, that was the intention of having on the agenda tonight. It was listed as the appointment so that the committee could make a decision on making a recommendation if you choose to. I beg your pardon?
Ms. Dory.
Thank you. It just hasn't typically been done like this, but Dr. Delroth is here, and I do actually have a question if you come back up. And I have to say I was very impressed with your background. You certainly have devoted decades of your career to special education and students. My concern really is just I'd like you to tell us how comfortable you are with Massachusetts laws around special education, because your background has solely been in New Hampshire, which, while geographically a neighbor state, I know that we have very specific laws in Massachusetts, and I think that has it has turned out to be a little bit of a challenge with previous.
Oh, really? Okay.
So I just want to know what your comfort level is and how you can assure me that you understand special education in Massachusetts.
So the basis for special education is the federal law. And I am familiar with Mass law, and in some ways it's more rigorous, and in some ways it's a little bit less demanding. It depends on the compliance issue. I think, I think having the basis and having worked with the federal law for 30 plus years. I also have 2 degrees from Massachusetts, so in special ed as well. So I have that background. There'll be somewhat of a learning curve. I think, but the process is the process, and the special ed process that the federal government has laid out really provides the guidelines and keeps parents and students safe, as well as educators in finding the most appropriate programming for students. So I'm excited to learn, a little bit different twist of the law, but I think it's going to be interesting and exciting. Thank you.
Thank you, and actually, that was a good answer. I forgot that was it BC? Was that one of the schools?
BC, yeah, and UMass Amherst.
And right, so I think that is definitely, you were focusing on special ed in those programs.
I also grew up right across the border in Hudson, so I'm very familiar with Lowell. And obviously, as administrators, we connect with special ed administrators in different states, and a lot of the conferences and so forth are blended. So the law is really the law, and then states interpret and set rules a little bit differently, but it's really the same core law. And we're here for the kids.
And then if I could just follow up with one more, just a light question. What interests you about coming to Lowell?
I was just driving through the city. My mother taught at Middlesex Community College. Like I said, I grew up in Hudson across the way, and I just think it's exciting, and I think it's a great city, and it's changed so much in the last 10 or so years. I don't know the great detail, but for me, it's really a challenge, and I'd be very proud to serve the city, the parents, and families.
I would make a motion to accept the appointment of Dr. Delroth. I didn't bring your resume with you. I'm sorry I
okay.
don't have your first name.
Motion by Ms. Doherty, second by Mr. Conway. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Mr. Lay? Ms. Martin? Mayor Rourke?
Yes.
Mr. Bahu?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Rossi? Mr. Rossi?
Sorry, yes.
Ms. Doherty?
Yes.
6 yeas, 1 absent. Approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Section 4 minutes, 4.1, the approval of the minutes of the regularly scheduled Lowell School Committee meeting on April 3rd, 2024. The motion to approve by Mr. Bahu, seconded by Mr. Conway. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. Section 5, permission to enter, April 17th, 2024. The motion to approve the permission to enter by Ms. Doherty, seconded by Ms. Martin. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Lay?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mayor Rourke?
Yes.
Mr. Bahu?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Rossi?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty?
Yes.
7 yeas.
Section 6, motion 6.1 by Mr. Conway. Ask the superintendent to meet with the mayor and the appropriate department to explore safety measures for Park Ave East. The street connects between the Pine Ave School, Moody School, Shep Park, and Fort Hill Park. It further replaced the crossing sign on the corner of Andover Street and Douglas Road. Need a motion, second by Mr. Bahu. Mr. Conway.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That particular area, I spend a lot of time doing my walking over there, and I'm very familiar with it for many, many years. And I will say that the Park Avenue East, that borders Fort Hill Park, I know I've had a number of concerns and complaints by neighbors in the area to say, look, at these cars are going by there and the motorcycles and so forth, and it really, it can be a dangerous situation. And what heightens the issue is the fact on one side of Park Avenue East is the fact that you have the Pine School and Shed Park. On the other side, you have Fort Hill Park and you have the Moody School. And that generates into a lot of kids moving back and forth. So through you, Mr. Mayor, to the superintendent, the two of you, if you could somehow meet with the appropriate department to see if there is some type of measures that we can make that street perhaps a little bit safer, whether it's signage or whatever they deem will help out in that situation. And to also on Andover Street and the corner of Andover Street and Douglas Road, I remember a number of years ago there was a lot of close calls there, and we've had more motions dealing with traffic on Andover Street. But on the other side, you have the Sullivan School and the Riley School, and a lot of parents do that cross right on Douglas. And what did help, and I remember back a number of years ago, Lieutenant Crowley got us one of those signs that they put in the middle of the street, and it certainly did make things a lot easier for people to cross. That has been destroyed. If we could get somebody to put another one back up there, Mr. Mayor, that would be, I think, very helpful. It would make things a little bit easier crossing the kids with parents and so forth. Thank you.
Will do. Any other comments? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 6.2 by Mr. Rossi. Request the superintendent to have all elevator inspections posted on each school website for parent peace of mind. Second by Mr. Bahu. Mr. Rossi.
Yes, this motion comes from concerns of parents who have had their child who may have disabilities not being able to use elevators throughout the district. And I just, in a way of accountability and transparency, I would like to, I wanted to put this motion forth so that we can stay on top of the elevator situation within the city. Thank you.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 6.3 by Mr. Rossi. Request superintendent to inform the school committee and the public of any major changes for the school year 2024 to 25. Seconded by Ms. Martin. Mr. Rossi.
Again, this is an attempt for transparency and accountability. I know a lot is shifting, a lot is changing, and I think the more time we give parents to adjust to new changes, even who the new special ed director is, and maybe an introduction to her would be good, so everybody knows what's going on and nobody says, I didn't know about this change or that change. Thank you.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 6.4 by Mr. Bahu. Request the superintendent to inform the school committee with the city's plans on roofs that are scheduled to be repaired or replaced within our school district, including the timeline on when each of the roofs are scheduled to be completed. Second by Ms. Doherty. Mr. Bahu.
We have 28 buildings here in the city of Lowell that are schools. And, you know, we've had some concerns with the health department and failing our health inspections over some ceiling tiles and such like that. I know there's been mold issues at certain schools. I also know that we've had some grants from the state to go ahead and put on a new roof over at the Bartlett School. But I'm curious, you know, which schools are being repaired, which schools' roofs are being overhauled, and what the timeline looks like on each of them, because the roof issue has seemed to be a major problem for a number of years. So I think that would be great information for all of us to have.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 6.5 by Ms. Doherty. Request the superintendent provide the committee with an update report by school on the time allocated for students to have recess, lunch, phys ed, and health. Previous report provided to the committee on February 10, 2017. The updated report should also include summary information on the Michigan model of health curriculum currently being piloted in the middle schools, as well as plans to incorporate student feedback on the developing of health curriculum, such as end-of-the-year surveys and student representation on the task force. Seconded by Ms. Martin. Ms. Doherty.
Thank you. I believe we have a speaker registered.
Just two.
I'd be happy to let the speakers.
Madam Clerk.
Thank you.
Derek Hang.
Good evening, Superintendent Skinner, Mayor Rourke, and the members of the school committee. My name is Derek Hang, and I am an 8th grade student at the Daly Middle School. Tonight, I'm speaking in support of Jackie Doherty's motion 6.5 to request that the superintendent provide the committee with an updated report by school on the time allocated for students to have recess, lunch, physical education, and health, and to include summary information on the health curriculum currently being piloted in the middle schools, as well as plans to incorporate student feedback on the developing health curriculum. I believe this motion should be passed because giving students the ability to have input on the school curriculum will improve the relationship they have with their education. When students' voices are listened to, it gives students a more vested interest in their studies. It would be good to include students in the Health Education Task Force because we would be able to provide insight on the school environment and needs based on our own experiences. Giving students a survey about our current curriculum would be beneficial since I believe, especially now, that even though many important topics are being covered in health class, we need additional lessons on topics such as types of modern contraceptives and instruction on how to use them. We also need more facts about STIs, teen pregnancy, consent, and support. Before my class project, I didn't know what a contraceptive actually encompassed. I was never taught about how to use a condom, and I'm sure most of my classmates were never taught about birth control, at least not in school. It is important for this to be integrated into the curriculum to educate us and also stop the rate of teen pregnancy and STIs from increasing. It is also important for us to learn about consent because some may not know what that truly looks like and how important it is. Consent is when someone is fully aware, enthusiastic, and giving their full permission to engage in a sexual act. It is important to make note that anyone under 16 in Massachusetts is legally unable to consent to any sexual activity, which is why the need for this to be covered is so relevant in our middle school health curriculum. I would also like to include that I think in our middle school health curriculum, there should be representation for non-heteronormative relationships like gay or lesbian, and there should also be representation for genders that aren't usually male or female, like non-binary. It is for these reasons that I urge you to please approve this motion. Thank you for listening and have a good night.
Miranda Hing.
Good evening. It's really nice to be here again. My name is Miranda Hing. I'm an 8th grader from the Daly Middle School, and I'm going to be supporting Motion 6.5 from Jackie Doherty, which is a request for the superintendent to provide the committee with an updated report by school on time allocated for students to have recess, lunch, physical education, and health. The updated report should also include summary information on the Michigan model of the health curriculum currently being piloted in the middle schools, as well as plans to incorporate student feedback on the developing health curriculum, such as end-of-the-year student surveys and student representation on the task force. This motion would be beneficial to students because providing a survey for feedback from them can give input to the health curriculum if students believe that there are some topics that are missing and need to be covered. In the school health curriculum, we do learn about the dangers of drugs, alcohol, peer pressure, and anatomy for a certain amount of time, which are in fact very vital and crucial to a student's education. We are not as well educated about topics such as consent, where someone gives permission to engage in sexual acts, or what to do when you're in a situation where you think you're being trafficked and how to prevent that from happening. Students need to learn this vital information about child trafficking, especially when they're older, and will need to know what to do in those situations and the prevention tactics surrounding it. Without this being integrated into our health curriculum, some may have no idea what to do in the present or in the future when they or possibly even their children are experiencing it. Thank you.
Ms. Doherty?
Thank you. First of all, let me apologize for the length of the motion. I was really trying to cover a couple of things. I had a similar motion back in 2017, which I mentioned, and I'm looking for an update having to do with the amount of time that kids are getting recess having lunch, getting gym, getting their health class. And it seemed like a perfect time when we asked for this update, which was actually, I was reached out to by a group of parents who have concerns that we're falling back into using lack of recess as a consequence, denying kids recess because of behavior or silent lunches. So it's not specifically mentioned in the report, in the motion, but I do want to have that information as well, that, around those issues. But the other piece of it that's very current is in last year's budget, we stipulated that every middle school would have a certified health teacher, that every middle school would have health instruction. So it's a good time to look back since the 2017 report and see how much health instruction are the middle school kids actually getting. Meanwhile, Dr. Desmond has been spearheading a task force of our health teachers piloting this new curriculum, new to us, the Michigan model. The state has also made some adjustments after, 25 years of doing nothing about what the standards were for health education. So this idea of give us a summary of what this model is. And while we're doing that, while we have a task force of our educators, why not include student voice? As you may recall, I just came back from with Ms. Phillips to the Portrait of a Graduate session where we visited a school in Connecticut that has been doing a lot around empowering students, giving students voice in their education. And you'll see it even with the new IEP form that just came out of DESE. There's way more focus on what does the student think? What does the student want for him or herself? Because the studies show that when you ask and people feel and get, hey, it matters what I think, what I want to learn, they're going to be more engaged. They're going to come to the table. So and I want to applaud my middle school students here from the Daily for having the courage to come up and speak to us tonight. But we did talk about this. This is one of their projects, their civics projects. But it just seemed like a perfect melding to say, we're doing a task force that's piloting this curriculum. Let's ask the kids. One way is a simple survey, right? Because this is the first year we've rolled out this particular health program. Another way is actual representation on the task force. So we hear their voices. What wasn't included in the curriculum that you needed? Whatever. Just to give them a seat at the table, I think is a very powerful thing. And it's such an important topic nowadays, what we're doing around health. So I'm going on as long as the motion was. I apologize, but I'm very excited about this report and this opportunity as a district to really move forward with health education for our kids, and also to kind of weigh in on how we're doing with those other things with recess. And I don't know that we actually put a policy in 2017-18. We talked about what we wanted, like you had to have a minimum of this amount of recess. But if we haven't done that, I would be looking to, that would be a next step once we get the report. Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 6.6 by Mr. Lay, ask the superintendent for an update on advanced course enrollment. Update should include the number of students who are enrolled and the number of students who meet the necessary requirements but are not enrolled. The amount should be broken down by ethnics. Seconded by Mr. Bahu. Mr. Lay. Do we have registered speaker? You want that person to go first, Mr. Lay? Still with us? Okay, we'll pass on that one. We have...
Mr. Mayor, I'm back. I didn't know I pressed the unmute button twice.
Okay. We have a registered speaker on your motion, Mr. Lay. Why him to go first?
Sure. Well, the advanced coursework I understood is decided since the students in the 8th grade. I know that it is a very tough program to be in. Students have to have done really well in the middle school in order to join. It is an alternative to Latin Lyceum program. But anyway, we I think that we should know how many students that know of the program, and whether the students by ethnic would also understand that there is such a coursework for them. So yeah, let's have the speaker first talk about it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Madam Clerk?
Huasca Gomez, please.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Huascar Gomez. I am the Director of Policy and Engagement at Fortaleza, a Latino-led nonprofit organization committed to removing systemic barriers impacting students. As a concerned member, I want to express my thoughts on the importance of this agenda item. So students need access to rigorous courses. They inherently want to be challenged academically, and research shows that students who are engaged in advanced courses are better prepared for post-secondary opportunities, which is a strong predictor of socioeconomic mobility. Alternatively, a student who is not challenged academically will become disengaged. Equitable access to advanced courses provide extensive benefits to students. For example, providing them with college readiness skills, increasing their GPAs, saving them time and money, and increasing their attendance, and much more. Latinos students in particular are underrepresented in advanced courses, particularly in math, science, and history. Only about 37% of Latino students complete an advanced course. Moreover, out of all students in the 11th and 12th grade, 13% of Latino students complete an advanced course, while only 6.7% complete a non-Spanish advanced course. There is a vast discrepancy in inequity across different subject areas for Latino students, considering they make up 40% of the student body. Passing this motion will allow us to better analyze students' access to and enrollment in advanced courses, and begin to explore ways to combat any barriers to rigorous college preparatory coursework. By gaining more insight into this disaggregated data, we can strengthen pathways into these courses that can change a student's trajectory in higher education and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 6.7 by Mr. Lay, asks the superintendent to provide an update on the implicit bias training and how we evaluate its effectiveness. Seconded by Mr. Bahu. You're ready to speak, Madam Clerk?
Yes. Huasca Gomez, please.
No?
No, you don't want to do both.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Lay?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This motion is by no means have any criticism on our school department. I think we have done a pretty good job in terms of bias training, but also, however, we want to know how effective that training has been, and so that's just a report that I want to have the superintendent update on this.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 6.8 by Mr. Lay, request a discussion on a policy for the member of the school committee to visit a school. Seconded by Mr. Bahu. Mr. Lay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, again. You know, first of all, I want to thank everybody, every schools, every principals, because I sometimes stop by and visit schools, and I always go there with good intention, with the positive about the school. I really want to see what's going on in the school. Sometimes when I heard about something good, I want to stop by. I want to compliment, and I want to learn something more about it. So I also learned that there are some policies that I should have gone through first, and all of that. So do we have a policy on what's the best way to stop by, because I tend to, with the 10, 15, 20 minutes that I have, sometimes I'm stopped by, I happen to be nearby the school. I want to stop by and say hi, and whether that's not appropriate, whether I need to go through some process, I want to know. I want to know what is the process.
Mr. Superintendent?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There is a written procedure. I'm not sure what the committee considers to be, official policy or procedure, but it's a policy or procedure that the school committee themselves put in place many years ago. I can provide the committee with the exact wording of that procedure or policy. I will do so following this meeting. But the gist of it is that school committee members intending to visit a school should schedule that visit through the superintendent's office, through the superintendent's secretary.
All set, Mr. Lay?
Thank you for the explanation, Mr. Superintendent. Sometimes when you have 15, 20 minutes and you just want to pop in to go through the process of making the schedule and all that, I think it's just make it difficult for someone just to get in and pop in and then pop out. So I don't know if we need to modify the policy, because I don't want to have a stage or anything like to have to make an appointment and be there for a long while. Sometime when it is on an important matters, it makes sense. But sometimes I just feel that that's not. That is a kind of a way that prevent people like me when I have only 15 minutes to pop in and pop out, because we don't have time. I wouldn't have time to make the schedule and do that process. But so anyway, Mr. Superintendent, thank you very much for your explanation.
Ms. Doherty?
Thank you. I think it makes sense if Superintendent Skinner could, give us the policy that we voted on, because we did vote on something that said, education is happening in our schools, just like you wouldn't drop in on somebody unannounced, that there was some kind of a process through the superintendent's office, whatever. If we want to rethink that, I think it deserves a discussion with the information in front of us that's already been voted on, because we do have a process in place. I'm not saying it can't be changed, but I think it's something that we need to all have in front of us. What is the policy, and figure out what makes sense for the body and for the schools that are doing the work.
Look forward to the report.
I would wait for that. Thank you.
I agree. All in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 6.9 by Mr. Lay. Request the superintendent provide a report on Khmer history that is taught at Lowell Public School System. Seconded by Mr. Bahu. Mr. Lay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This motion is personal. I learned about my history being taught from Mr. Delosa from when I met him at the Knowledge Bowl maybe a year or so ago. But I just never had a chance to go to the to find out what it is about, because the history, the Khmer history, I think is very unique and very personal for me, being a Khmer person who lived through all the important history well, not all, but the recent important history in Cambodia. So rather than for me, I want to talk to the teacher directly, if possible. But if that's not possible, I don't know if we could invite the teacher who teach the history to explain a little bit more in more detail how the history is being taught and what kind of information that he got to teach to the students, because the history in Cambodia, when you do the research on it, it's all over the place. Depends on who wrote it, and of course it has always been written by the winner, and that is sometimes it's not a good history. But anyway, I feel positive about it, and I just want to learn more about it. So if we could find some way, if everybody agree, I like to find out more. Whether Mr. Superintendent, if you let me go meet with the teacher or invite him to the school committee meeting, either way, I'm happy about that. Would that be okay, Mr. Skinner?
It's a motion for Khmer history, Mr. Lay, correct?
Right, to provide my history, right.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Section 7, Subcommittee 7.1, approval of the minutes of the Special Education Subcommittee meeting on April 3rd, 2024. Chairwoman Del Rossi?
You're muted, Eileen.
Sorry about that. The meeting took place on Wednesday, April 3rd, 2024 at 5:30 at the City Council Chamber. In attendance was myself, Miss Doherty, Miss Martin. Also in attendance was Miss Desmond, Miss Upton, Assistant Director of Special Education, as well as Miss Melly, Assistant Director of Special Education. We discussed the special education PAC update and early identification of students. We discussed parent attendance at the special education PAC meetings. We also discussed ways to maybe attract more parents to be aware of their rights for their students and so forth, because attendance was somewhat low. Ms. Upton assured us that she was committed to providing parents with the information that they were asking for. And so at the most recent SPED PAC, Ms. Newell was talking about early literacy. We then went on to talk about the teacher identification process with Ms. Melly. We discussed ways that students are identified early on through the teacher assistance teams, and who's involved with that. It's usually an administrator, a teacher, parents, and usually it's sometimes a social worker if it's a behavioral thing. We talked about indicators for early screening if a student is concerned, if we're concerned a student has disability. We talked about assessing each student's reading ability from K through at least grade 3, at least 2 times a year, and progress monitoring with the DIBELS and so forth. Determine what actions needed. We talked about the tiered interventions and Tier 1 intervention, Tier 2 intervention, and Tier 3 intervention for reading, and when progress monitoring kind of indicates a problem. Overall, it was a very informative meeting. We adjourned at 6:13. Any questions or anything you guys want to add?
Great. Thank you. Now, a motion to accept the report as a report of progress by Ms. Martin, second by Ms. Doherty. All those in favor say aye. Motion approved. Section 8, reports to the superintendent. 8.1, strategic goal, culturally and linguistically sustaining practices report. Mr. Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. One of the aspects of our strategic goals this year is the advancement of culturally and linguistically sustaining practices, particularly through a series of trainings. So we have an update report to offer to the committee tonight, and Ms. Fatima de Sousa is here from the Equity Office to make that presentation to you.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me again. It's the first time I'm here, not in the capacity of a teacher. I've been a teacher for over 23 years in Lowell. And for the past year, I've been in the Equity Office working with teachers. And today I'm excited to share with you the results of the Bias in Curriculum 2 pilot model. And I hope you have it in your packets, right? Okay, so in 2018, the Department of Ed told us that all of our teachers should know better about our students, should know about their identity, should know about the ways they live, should know about their culture, the background, so they could better support their needs. A lot happened since 2018. In 2018, the Curriculum Office provided the training for our principals, assistant principals, and literacy coaches and specialists on the use of a bias tool, which is a checklist to identify what's in our curriculum and what are in our books, if they really represent the amount and the diverse groups of people that we have in Lowell. Well, we are in 2024. It's time to stop talking and start working. So that's what we've been doing. For the past year, we grounded our discussions in student engagement, but not siloed, not isolated discussions. We try to connect to the LTA, we try to connect to our teachers and ask them, what do our students really need? And how can we deliver that? And with the support of the LTA and many of our teachers, a CLSP committee was created. So today you hear my voice with my accent, but behind me, invisibly, they're the voices of teachers, of our teachers. We believe that teachers listen to teachers. So that's why our facilitators and the courses that you are about to know more about, they were also our LPS teachers. So the CLSP committee started working on our priorities. And the one that we focused on was to deliver content on the bias tool. It's called the Washington Model for Bias in Curriculum 2. It didn't make sense to me. Again, I'm a teacher. I like things in context. I like things that are meaningful. And although it's a compliance issue, if it doesn't make sense to the teacher, that person will not use it. And if it doesn't make sense to a teacher, it doesn't make sense to students either. So we broadened the conversation, and instead of delivering just one workshop on how to use a checklist when you evaluate or you use your curriculum or bring materials that are not in your curriculum, we decided to talk about bias. We decided to talk about identity. We decided to talk about how we feel, and we decided to talk about the barriers our students face on a daily basis to become and feel like they belong and they are engaged. It was tough. It was a very hard task. It took us almost a year to pull it off. And the reason being is that the conversations were so difficult. Talking about gender, race, bias, it's not easy. It's easy to say that we are doing these things, but very hard to go deep and understand what we are doing and why. So we were able to do that, and we came up with 4 workshops, 2 hours each. And we offer them, the 4 workshops, 14 times to our Lowell Public Schools teachers. If they had completed the 4 workshops, they would get PDPs, so they can renew their licenses, and they would get paid. So they were paid based on the rates, and they attended workshops after school hours and on Saturdays. And I'll tell you, I did not believe that Saturdays would be a good day to have a 4-hour workshop. To my surprise, we had full house. So 61 LPS teachers attended a 4-series workshop, 8 hours, talking about tough subjects, grounded in student engagement. It is a pilot. Is it going to work with 1,200 teachers? I don't know. Is it going to work with 2,000 of our employees, parents and teachers? I don't know. And that's what we are trying to figure out now. We are at this point evaluating the data, and what you have in front of you is the results for the surveys. We surveyed every single teacher of ours twice. An exit ticket that they had to create slides to present the content they had been just exposed to their peers at schools, and a voluntary survey. They would not identify themselves, but we asked them, we need to know what you think about these courses. Give us feedback. That's the way to incorporate voices, real voices, in the work we do. The same way we were mentioning about students, we need to hear our teachers. We need to listen to them. If we are working with them, if we're not telling them what to do, but we are asking them what can we help them with so they can do their work better. So they did respond, and their responses are in front of you. And I wish the public had that too, just so they know how much and how involved our teachers are with our students, how much they go above and beyond their work to make sure that our students really receive the support they need to feel engaged and feel like they belong. So I hope you have the time to read that. And yes, we have a lot to learn. So we'll spend the month of April and beginning May evaluating these results, analyzing them, and I love data, so that's my favorite piece of it. And then we are going to go back and offer one more round, probably by the end of May, but this time designing and remodeling the content and the delivery according to what the teacher said. And then we'll collect data again. Before we think about creating courses to support 1,200 teachers, we would be insane if we had not done a pilot program. We could not accept the fact that our goal was to be supporting teachers without seeing if in reality the content that we are offering is meaningful or not. Because if it's not meaningful, it's just lip service. And we're done with lip service. We want to do work, and we want to make sure our teachers feel empowered and feel listened to, so that they can improve their practice. So thank you for listening to me, but thank you, the teachers, who are here with me invisibly, but their voices are part of mine. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Doherty?
I think that was a very powerful presentation. Thank you very much. And I would like to say I think we should be doing more of that, asking teachers, not just about this very important issue, but also the curriculum. The curriculum that I'm hearing doesn't quite meet the needs that teachers feel it should. But thank you for that.
Thank you. Well done. 8.2, strategic goal, universal pre-K. Mr. Superintendent?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and school committee members. Similarly, we have a strategic goal based on universal pre-K. Similarly, we have a presenter for you. You have in your packet the presentation, and Ms. Lisa Van Thiel, who is our early childhood coordinator, is here to give you the report. Ms. Van Thiel.
Thank you, Superintendent Skinner, and thank you, school committee members, for this opportunity to speak to you about our goal that we set in 2023-24 to really focus on increasing access to preschool, universal preschool, particularly around full-time seats, and to define kindergarten readiness and work with our community partners. We've been doing a lot of work through the Lowell Early Childhood Council, as well as the growing literacy education across Massachusetts around readiness, and Latifah Phillips and the early childhood team has been meeting with teachers to get their buy-in. So just want to, both kindergarten and preschool teachers have attended meetings. So with that, you have the packet of information that provides some information about what universal preschool is, which is really a framework to make sure that preschool is available to all students free of charge. We're currently focused on making sure that all 4-year-olds have access to preschool universally. And we've been working on that framework with our community partners for the last couple of years. Why is it important? There's a hill of research. I won't bore everybody with it, but just give you some highlights. Better performance in reading and math, and we do have a reading achievement gap and a math achievement gap in Lowell. I do believe by engaging our 3 and 4-year-olds in early learning, we have an opportunity to close that achievement gap before it begins. Fewer retentions in grades later on, fewer special education placements, higher rates of high school graduation, more years of education, and higher college attendance are just some of the major highlights from research on early education. Also, I think what's really important is there's a lot of new brain research that wasn't around years ago. Executive functioning skills are really important, particularly for social emotional development as well as cognitive development. Skills such as self-control, following multiple step directions, being able to filter out distractions. These are all things that young children learn through play and interactions with adults. In particular, language acquisition, oral language acquisition is really important for our preschoolers in Lowell. We have a lot of children that speak a variety of languages, and listening and hearing language, whether it's Spanish, English, Arabic, all of those languages, you are more likely to learn a language that you hear. So we want to make sure that we're making those connections early on. You will see, I think it's on the 6th slide, I gave you some data from last year around preschool enrollment, and then the following slide says preschool landscape in Lowell, April 24, 2024. I do want to say there is a mistake that didn't get cleaned up where it says Learning Ladder 18. That was supposed to be moved down. So I want to acknowledge that to you all. But I think what's important here is there's licensing capacity. There's our partnerships through the Commonwealth Preschool Partnership Initiative grant that we have, which is the second column. So there are basically 1,080, for people who can't see the presentation, seats for preschoolers for 3 and 4-year-olds. In the center-based programs, it actually starts at 2.9, and it goes till you're ready for kindergarten. Our CPCI seats are 185, but the current enrollment in our preschools throughout the city, particularly our CPPI partners, is 1,027. So we are reaching a large amount of children prior to kindergarten. And again, that encompasses 2.9 to 5. And then one of our goals for the CPPI grant is to make sure that we have vertical and horizontal alignment with our curriculum, and we're providing all kids with access to a teacher that has a background in child development. So you will see that our grant right now, it's 864, because of the 18 mistake, children have access to a teacher with at least a bachelor's degree. And then you can see on the next chart the 3 and 4-year-olds. In Lowell Public Schools, we only enroll 3-year-olds if they have a disability. So that's why it's separated out. On the next slide, you'll see that our enrollment in preschool fluctuates throughout the year. We have to hold some seats for students with disabilities, because once a child turns 3, then we need to serve them in our public schools. So we started out at the beginning of the year with 629. We were up to, when I did this slide, 694. So you'll see that, and that number changes just since then. It's increased since I produced the slide. It's a daily increase. Currently, we have 1 half-day classroom for students with autism that has a morning and an afternoon session. We have 14 full-day CSA classrooms, and we have 19 inclusive half-day classrooms and 6 full-day within Lowell Public Schools. Space is obviously an issue, so with that goal of full-day seats. However, we are lucky enough to have a lot of partners in our community. And with that, we have classrooms that we partner with through CPPI and through our MOA, which you are all a part of. So we've got classrooms at the YMCA, we have classrooms at Lowell Day Nursery, Lowell Collaborative Preschool Academy, and CTI's James Hilera Center, as well as Children's Village, with the combination of the MOA and CPPI seats. So there's 18 classrooms. The next slide shows you the AM and PM sessions. The reason that I thought it was important is because we're also trying to increase opportunities for inclusion as part of our Commonwealth Preschool Partnership Initiative grant. And it is difficult to recruit peer models to half-day programs, and we do need those peer models to be able to provide inclusive programming to all students with disabilities. So you will see that on each of the slides for the AM and PM sessions are harder to fill, obviously, than morning sessions. And then just a quick slide around the full-day classrooms. We have 1 full-day classroom at the Bartlett, 3 at the Cardinal, 2 at Community Teamwork, Lowell Collaborative, 1 at the Greenalge, and we now have 2 at Lowell Day Nursery, and 1 at the Merklin. We did just receive expansion funds through the Commonwealth Preschool Partnership Initiative, and we are also adding a new partner, Small Steps. I think that's good growth. So our overarching goals are really about increasing access to preschool and early learning opportunities prior to kindergarten, again, to close that achievement gap, empowering families to achieve participation in their child's learning. We've been working a lot on curriculum alignment and program quality since the preschool expansion grant, which was a federal grant that we received earlier, like 2015. So this has been quite a while that we've been working on it. Again, we're focused on increasing equitable access, particularly around special education and inclusion, including in our partner programs, and I'll get to that in a second. So we're really focused on strengthening educators' commitment to early education. We make our professional development opportunities available to the entire early childhood community in Lowell. And we send out a PD some more every other month, inviting people to participate. So again, our goal really remains that common definition of kindergarten readiness and additional full-time seats. So again, we've been working on these goals with Latifah Phillips around getting teachers buy-in. We're going to be hosting an administrative meeting soon. And then the next slide is about the expansion to the 100 seats. So we have partnered with Community Teamwork and Lowell Day Nursery for those through a memorandum of agreement. And right now, 53% of those full-time seats are taken. The biggest barrier for our partners is finding teachers with degrees. So I want to acknowledge that. We are working really hard with them, but we also know that the program quality, particularly when we want to serve more students with special needs, requires a certain level of expertise. You need to understand child development. So our Commonwealth Preschool Partnership Initiative is really focused on 3 priorities: expanding access to affordable quality preschool, building locally aligned quality and equitable access to special education. We currently receive $1 million for that grant, so it's a rather large grant. And again, we've been working consistently across programs to support bachelor's degree teachers and assist teachers in getting their degrees. We provide a ages and stages questionnaire to families, which allows them to fill it out and tell us what they know about their child's development, and allows us to give feedback to them on where their children are developmentally. Currently, we've been using the Phonological Awareness Language Screening Tool 3 times a year to monitor students' language and literacy skills. We've been working, as I said, through the Growing Literacy Education Across Massachusetts grant and with our CPPI partners in the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education and Department of Early Education and Care. And we're working on looking at some other tools to adopt that align with the DIBELS. So those are some things. We also are regularly assessing our classroom quality using the classroom assessment scoring system. And this year we expanded our coaching opportunities because we do have a coach through the Commonwealth Preschool Partnership Initiative that goes into our partner classrooms to support their work. And this year we expanded it to include the new teacher project and had additional coaching that just focused on language and literacy and gave us feedback, so we were able to really look at what we were getting from the class and also from what we were getting from the new teacher project. We also provide comprehensive services to our partner programs. We've had a strong partnership with Merrimack Valley Trauma that is used widely. Crossroads, which is our BCBA program. We have now a special education team that pushes in to our partner programs, which includes a special education teacher, a speech and language pathologist, and an early language dual language interventionist. Again, I'm proud to say that we provide professional development opportunities throughout the city. We've engaged our Lowell Early Childhood Council. We continue to work also with the Coordinated Family and Community Engagement Grant. And we've been rolling out more screenings. This year we're trying to screen all kindergarten students prior to kindergarten entry. And we've been working with the University of Massachusetts Boston and the University of Pittsburgh and American Institute for Research on looking at our curriculum and giving us feedback on our preschool curriculum. So the barriers that have been identified by partners include staffing, funding, and transportation. Our next steps are to continue to work with our community partners to overcome these barriers and to make more full-time spaces available. Pair Associates, through our expansion grant, is going to be adding on a supply and demand and cost study to look at short-term and long-term plans around universal preschool. They have conducted a survey, and some of you, I think, participated in interviews with Pair. We will be getting some report back from them on May 23rd, so I look forward to that, and initial information will go out to our strategic planning group. I just want to say we also have a partnership with The Basics, which is now doing commercials actually on TV on the importance of early learning, because we really do want to engage families in recognizing that interactions are critical to brain development. And then I just want to again point out that we are strengthening the vision and goals through the Early Childhood Department, and just a reminder that my position this year was decoupled from that of the preschool and the Cardinal O'Connell. So I want to thank you, and I'm available if there's any questions. Thank you very much for this time.
Thank you,
I appreciate it.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Thank you. Mr. Bahu.
Yes, thank you. If you don't mind coming back up. Firstly, this was a great report. I think we all understand the importance of pre-kindergarten and pre-kindergarten half-day schools, as well as 4-year-olds learning. You had a nice graph there where a child is born, 25% of their brain is evolved, and then at 2 years old, it's 75%, and by the time they're 5 years old, it's 90%. So if we can really grab onto that child, which is what you're doing, at a very young age. It's helping with retention. It's helping with high school graduation. It's helping with college attendance. It makes such a big difference. Of the 1,080 students that attend, are they all Lowell students? Do they all live and reside in the city of Lowell, or are they sort of from the surrounding community?
So all of the students that attend Lowell Public Schools are Lowell residents. They would go through the same process that any student registering for Lowell Public Schools would. All of our partner programs, they may have people from other communities because they are public programs and they don't just serve Lowell residents.
Sure, like CTI or Merrimack Valley Day School.
Or the Y, Lowell Day Nursery, they can, right. You don't have to be a resident to attend.
Right. And the other graphic that you sort of touched on was 864 students have teachers with bachelor's degrees or higher. I mean, that is clearly some great growth. And to work with Peer did call me. I did have the benefit of interviewing with them, and it was not only eye-opening, but very exciting to know that we could be, heading towards full-day kindergarten long-term, which could be so beneficial to our students, to our district, to our parents. So, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
8.3, Ms. Phillips.
I also wanted to mention that our early childhood landscape, 1/3 are Lowell Public School students. 1/3 are in community programs, and 1/3 are maybe serviced at home. So these are the 3 communities that we are preparing to come into Lowell Public Schools for kindergarten. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone understands when we talk about early childhood, we are talking about wrapping our arms around the entire community of Lowell, but only directly servicing about 1/3 in our programs. And the other piece I wanted to mention, I'm very thankful for my staff for being here in spring break. So thank you, Ms. Van Thiel and Ms. D'Souza, and also Anna Houston works in our early childhood department. But one thing I wanted to mention that you heard from both of them, because both of them are in our equity office, they talked about working collaboratively with teachers, with community partners. Every presentation you hear out of our equity office, you will hear of us working to be informed by the people that we serve and support, whether that's students, parents, community partners, often working to elevate marginalized voices. So I think that's a core value of ours, that there's a saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. That is a core value of our equity office and how we do work. So I just wanted to mention that because people don't always know all of the different pieces that make up our equity office, and I wanted you to know that early childhood is in our office this year for closing opportunity gaps and achievement gaps, as well as the presentation from Fatima on the bias in curriculum tool. Thank you.
Thank you. 8.3, enrollment report. Mr. Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. School committee members, the enrollment report is a report of progress. Any questions, and Ms. Phillips will take them.
Thank you. 8.4, response to motion by Mr. Conway, March 20th, 2024, regarding Lowell High School and Lowell Sun Partnership.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. School committee members and Mr. Conway, you have in your packet a report from Ms. Crocker in response to Mr. Conway's motion.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to first of all thank Wendy Crocker for the report, and along with Jennifer Myers. We talked about this a few weeks ago, how very important it is, and I really think that I'm excited about this motion because I want to see, as I said the other day when we were here, that 3 important keys to learning, as far as I'm concerned, is that reading, writing, and speaking. And I think that this partnership is really going to help out with that. So again, and we talked about eventually, I know this is going to be successful, and it will then hopefully drop down to the middle schools too, which will be perfect. All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Conway. 8.5, response to motion by Mr. Rossi, April 3rd, 2024, regarding professional development for social workers.
Thank you very much for this report, Ms. Desmond. I see that you did have a professional development with Dr. Abigail Judge, and that turned into talking more about trafficking. And I'm just wondering, I thank you for listing the resources, but I'm wondering if maybe you could arrange to do a more comprehensive training with the social workers at some point, maybe before school starts, or offer it in the summer, if that could be a possibility, because it was definitely a concern with some of our civic students that I had met with.
Thank you. 8.6, motion response by Ms. Doherty, July 13th, 2022, regarding Lowell High School construction.
Thank you for this report. It's very encouraging to hear that we are moving forward with the construction at the high school, but also the challenges our staff and students are facing there. And one thing that I really like to hear was if the noise becomes a problem, someone makes a phone call and they immediately stop. And actually looking at stuff they're going to be doing over April vacation, which I guess is this week, as well as weekend stuff, working with the high school, what are other activities going on this weekend, so that they can, coordinate with the work that's going on there, the education. Thank you.
Okay. Need a motion to accept the reports of the superintendent 8.1 through 8.6 as reports of progress by Mr. Conway, seconded by Ms. Martin. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 8.7, home education. Need a motion to approve by Mr. Conway, seconded by Mr. Lay. All those in favor say aye. Oh, sorry, Madam Clerk, roll call.
Mr. Lay?
Yes.
Ms. Martin? Mayor Rourke?
Yes.
Mr. Bahu?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Rossi?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty?
Yes.
7 yeas.
New business, 9.1, budget transfer. Need a motion to approve the budget transfer of $301,516.32 by Mr. Conway, seconded by Mr. Bahu. Roll call.
Mr. Lay?
Yes.
Ms. Martin? Mayor Rourke?
Yes.
Mr. Bahu?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Rossi?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty?
Yes.
7 yeas.
9.2, Lowell High School grading policy. Need a motion to send this policy to a policy subcommittee by Ms. Doherty, seconded by Mr. Conway. Roll call.
Mr. Lay?
Yes.
Ms. Martin? Mayor Rourke?
Yes.
Mr. Bahu?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Rossi?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty?
Yes.
7 yeas.
9.3, report of the financial audit. Is there a motion to send this to a finance subcommittee by Ms. Martin, second by Mr. Bahu? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 9.4, Student Opportunity Act Plan. Need a motion to accept and place on file by Ms. Doherty, seconded by Mr. Conway. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 9.5, CREST Collaborative Request Consent to Increase Capital Fund Limit. Need a motion to approve new funding by Mr. Bahu, by Mr. Conway, seconded by anyone? Sure, yeah, so you want to do the approval first and go to the superintendent? Seconded by Ms. Martin. Any questions, Ms. Martin?
Could we just get a brief description of the request from Crest?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Martin. We are members of the CREST Collaborative and have some students enrolled there. They have a capital plan where they are at the moment limited by by the districts that are part of the collaborative to fund their capital plan by more than $650,000. And so they're not looking to increase the amount that we pay them, though that might also be something that can happen, right? There's a relatively minimal increase to their tuition for the coming year. But this is separate from that. They're just looking for their planning purposes to not be limited to $650,000 in this fund, that they'd be allowed to build up their capital fund to a total of $2 million. And I guess they need a certain percentage of approval of a certain number of districts who send students there.
And it's not put before their board, where I believe are you the representative to Crest?
I beg your pardon?
Are you the representative to the Crest board?
Yes,
on
I
Lowell?
am.
So they don't just put it to the board to vote, it needs to come to the school committee?
Yes, it's a financial item that needs school committee approval in the various districts. I'm not sure if it's all of them. I think it might be something like 70 or 75% have to approve.
Thank you, those are my questions.
Any other questions, Mr. Bahu?
This looks like we have as many as 45 days to approve it. And it looks like they also need 2/3 of the schools that send, school districts that send students to Crest. So if we could go ahead and maybe have some time to chew on it. It looks like they have $428,000 in their capital fund, and they'd like to have up to $2 million, which basically becomes assessments to our school based on their needs. And I don't know that I'm ready just to go ahead and approve it. I would like to delay a vote and maybe reconsider.
May I point out, please, that the date on the notice is March 18th. And so it appears that I haven't counted 45 days since that time. But if we need more time, I think we should take more time regardless. I'm happy to do that if that's your recommendation.
I second it.
Just out of curiosity, my own, I guess, ignorance, why the wait?
It just seems like basically there's going to be assessments. And if Crest decides that they need to spend more money for their renovation projects, then they can choose to spend more money for their renovation projects and then begin to keep assessing every one of their sending districts. So maybe a little bit more clarification on it would be helpful, but it does say in this report that they need electrical, they need plumbing. The building that they're in has been there since 1984. It needs upgrades and upkeep. And I know that we want to be a responsible school sending district, but this seemed to sort of catch me by surprise, and that's why I'm looking to wait.
Ms. Martin?
Could I make a recommendation that we add this to the finance subcommittee that we're already scheduling?
By Ms.
And we
Martin,
can deal with it
seconded by
quickly.
Mr. Bahu. Oh, Mr. Superintendent?
Just for clarity, I think that's a good idea. However, for the sake of Crest, I'll need to inform them it's not yet approved. It's going to go to this finance subcommittee, and then is it true that it would need to come to the full body again for a vote before it would go ahead? If that does not meet their 45-day, in writing it says that the school committee can choose to support or decline the limit, or alternatively not vote and thereby accept their recommendation. So with your permission, I'd like to communicate with them that if we don't respond within 45 days, that's not acquiescing to their request. They can consider a decline, or otherwise give us more time to consider it. Thank you.
Great. 9.6, approval of job description and permission to post enrollment counselor. Need a motion to approve and post the enrollment counselor position by Mr. Bahu, second by no second. Ms. Martin, any questions? Roll call? No.
I guess I'm concerned why we're putting forward all these new positions when we haven't done the budget yet. And we're worried about cuts and all that. It seems a little bit like putting the horse before the cart. I don't know if there's any explanation on that, or that's just where I'm going. I mean, I had the motion that was passed that we were going to look at increasing salaries for people that were, grossly underpaid in terms of the market, and the response was, let's figure out the budget. I don't know why all these positions are before us tonight.
Superintendent?
Thank you, Ms. Doherty. The position we're talking about, the enrollment counselor, would be at Lowell High School. And so Lowell High School has been given their budget figure for next year, and they're working out how to spend it. This is a position they'd like to spend money on, and so they need approval if they're going to do that. If you'd like further information about the position itself, I think Dr. Hall will be able to give you some more information.
Ms. Martin?
So previously, when we went through the fair student funding kind of process, particularly the high school, would present what they wanted. They came before their school site council, came before the school committee and presented what they were spending their dollars on. In many cases, it was a defense of where they chose to spend those dollars. This does seem kind of out of that of a piece approach. If there's just one position that they want to post, is it part of their overall? I mean, it's hard to take it out of context, to Ms. Doherty's point.
Mr. Superintendent?
So there are a couple of parts. I think in the past, it didn't occur in the last couple of years, but in the past, some school site councils were asked, a sample of them were chosen each year to present to the school committee. 1 or 2 elementary schools, 1 or 2 middle schools, and because the high schools are only 1, they were always part of that.
Right.
So that is true. That has not happened for the last couple of years. I'm happy to reinstitute it if that's something that would be valuable for the committee. In the meantime, through their budget work, Lowell High School has determined this is a position they would like. It doesn't exist yet, and so the proper procedure was to bring it before you.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Conway?
Yeah, just a quick question through you to the superintendent. When I took a look at that job description, I don't see much of a difference between that and a guidance counselor.
Superintendent?
Thank you, Mr. Conway. There are some differences, and I think that is, in fact, is pointing to the reason for the rationale for the position. May I refer to Dr. Hall, please? Dr. Hall?
As Mr. Conway has specified, the position will have a particular focus on bringing in new students and placing them, whereas other guidance counselors may be focused on students. Additionally, I think they foresaw an influx of new students that may be coming in that they wanted work in the summer to help out on that. This position also has 5 additional days and the ability to flex some of those days into the summer time period, where the traditional guidance counselor position has a more structured work year.
Well, I mean, when you talk about bringing in students, what do you mean by that?
I think there's anticipated to be students that may be coming to Lowell that they want to be prepared for, which is a small part of it.
Mr. Conway, I believe that certain students, when they're incoming to Lowell, there's a concern about them being misplaced. Sometimes EL students, for example, may not be picked up and so on. And the high school, I believe, wants to have a role that will specialize and be able to place students more accurately.
I understand that, but that used to be done by a guidance counselor in the past. Thank you.
Okay, so we have 10 more of these left.
No.
So how do we want to do it? You want to, I mean, we have a busy finance subcommittee coming up anyway. Do you want to kick these all to that, or do you want to go through every single one of them? I'll take any directions from the body. Ms. Martin?
I do think it makes sense for them to go. We could do personnel, which is generally where they would go. I know there are a few that are time sensitive, and I wouldn't, for myself, I just know that the adult basic ed have to do with getting positions in place for upcoming trainings that are already grant funded, that aren't impacted by our budget process. So, I mean, I'd be comfortable moving forward with that. I believe that's 9-7.
So there's 4 positions under 9-7. Do them all?
That would be my recommendation. I'd make a motion to approve those 4 positions.
By Ms. Martin, second by Ms. Doherty. So we'll take 9-7 for now, Madam Clerk? Right, so 9-6, what do we want to do with that one?
Mr. Mayor, if it suits the committee on 9-6, either go to subcommittee, which is a fine suggestion, or I was also going to offer to have somebody from Lowell High be at our next meeting to describe it. We could also have that.
So you want to take 9-6, 9-8, 9-9, 9-10 to a subcommittee, and then vote on 9-7 tonight?
I'm okay with it if you
That makes sense?
That's the Title I, but I don't know.
Question.
Ms. Doherty?
A question on 9-8. That is the approval of a job description to post Title I director position. Is that, I know it was most recently a part-time position, is that job description changed? Or is it just going back to the previous full-time position?
I took the old job description, which was probably several decades old, updated the titles and somewhat modernized it, and also added in the .4 duties that have been done by the part-time person into one large job description, Ms. Doherty.
Okay,
So again, I can ask, do you want us to go through all of them separately?
yes, I think we should put them all to personnel except for the 9.7 ones.
Okay, motion
that
was
did
made
not
by Ms.
impact
Martin,
the
it was
budget.
seconded by Ms. Doherty.
Is the
We'll do a roll call on the motion first, then we'll come back to you.
Okay.
I want to look at it because he changed. He changed.
Yes. So it's 9, 9.6, 9.8, 9.9, 9.10, 9.11.
Mr. Lay?
Yes.
Ms. Martin? Mayor Rourke?
Yes.
Mr. Bahu?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Rossi?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty?
Yes.
7 yeas.
9.7. Colin, you want to say something? Oh, all set? Okay. 9.7, approval of job descriptions and permission to post adult basic education positions. Need a motion to approve and post the adult basic education program manager position by Ms. Martin, second by Ms. Doherty. Roll call.
Mr. Lay?
Yes.
Ms. Martin? Mayor Rourke?
Yes.
Mr. Bahu?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Rossi?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty? 7 yeas.
Need a motion to approve and post the adult basic education ESL registrar, enrollment specialist, and program planner position by Mr. Bahu, seconded by Mr. Conway. Roll call.
Mr. Lay?
Yes.
Ms. Martin? Mayor Rourke?
Yes.
Mr. Bahu?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Rossi?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty?
Yes.
7 yeas.
Need a motion to approve and post the adult basic education assistant ESOL registrar position by Ms. Martin, seconded by Ms. Doherty. Roll call.
Mr. Lay?
Yes.
Ms. Martin? Mayor Rourke?
Yes.
Mr. Bahu?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Rossi?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty? 7 yeas.
Need a motion to approve and post the adult basic education student support services position by Ms. Doherty, seconded by Mr. Conway. Roll call.
Mr. Lay?
Yes.
Ms. Martin? Mayor Rourke?
Yes.
Mr. Bahu?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Rossi?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty? 7 yeas.
9.12, approval to accept and expend allocated FY24 awards. Need a motion to accept and expend the allocated FY24 awards by Mr. Rossi, seconded by Mr. Lay. Roll call.
Mr. Lay?
Yes.
Ms. Martin? Mayor Rourke?
Yes.
Mr. Bahu?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Rossi?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty? 7 yeas, approved.
9.13, 2024-2025 school committee meeting dates. Need a motion to approve the 2024-2025 school committee meeting dates by Mr. Bahu, seconded by Ms. Martin. Roll call.
Mr. Lay?
Yes.
Ms. Martin? Mayor Rourke?
Yes.
Mr. Bahu?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Rossi?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty? 7 yeas.
9.14, approval of budget hearing dates. Need a motion to approve the budget hearing dates by Ms. Rossi, seconded by Mr. Lay. Roll call.
One question, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Bahu, go ahead.
It looks like one of our budget date meetings is on May 2nd. And I know May 2nd, there is a Lowell High School building project meeting right across the hall at about the same time. Is there a chance that we could delay that meeting that we have for the budget till 7 p.m. so that anybody that may want to attend the building meeting can go there?
Seven o'clock it is. Roll call.
Mr. Lay?
Yes.
Ms. Martin? Mayor Rourke?
Yes.
Mr. Bahu?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Rossi?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty? 7 yeas.
9:15, draft of 2024-2025 school year calendar. Need a motion? Oh, sorry, Mr. Superintendent.
I didn't want it to go unnoticed to the committee that on the reason it's mentioned draft is that we're proposing to add more early release days back, and that's why it's in there. The early release days were sorely missed by schools for professional development. They're missed by us for professional development. Various members of the committee have at different times urged us to have different kinds of professional development for social workers most recently, but for many others as well. There's just not time to do it. And so we're proposing to put back some of the early release days that we had, and they're in that draft calendar, and that's why I was drawing your attention to it.
So does that make sense? We vote on it tonight?
Ms. Martin? I'm sorry.
Dominic had a question.
Mr. Mayor, if that's the case, does it make sense that we vote on this tonight, or should we wait until the next meeting?
We can vote on it, it's a draft. If we want to come back for a final one, that's fine too, but however,
My only question would be if there are any concerns we have to have with the contract in terms of how we set up the school year. I don't know what we had built in. Okay.
Superintendent?
Thank you. I don't believe there are any concerns with contract. Thank you.
So we could do it tonight, and if it's going to make a change, correct?
Yes, we'd welcome that. I didn't want to bring it to the committee without your attention, and that's why I made it a draft. But if you approve it tonight, that would be very welcome.
Ms. Doherty?
I know we've talked about, we have meetings during February vacation, April vacation. Does that happen next year as well?
So that's a separate issue that I didn't get a chance to chime in on. So that has to do, Ms. Doherty, with item 913, the one you've already voted to accept the school committee meeting schedule. They include the February vacation and April vacation school committee meetings on that schedule. You have the purview to cancel them at any time. You're welcome to do that now, and so we take them off for next year, or you can make that decision at a later time.
I could support it now, Ms. Doherty, if you like. It's up to you. All right, so we have a motion on the floor. It's a draft 2024-2025 school year calendar by Ms. Doherty, second by Ms. Martin. Roll call.
Mr. Lay?
Yes.
Ms. Martin? Mayor Rourke?
Yes.
Mr. Bahu?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Rossi?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty? 7 yeas.
10.1 overnight request. Convention conference request. 10.1 overnight request. National School Safety Conference in Orlando, Florida. Need a motion to approve the request by Mr. Conway, second by Mr. Bahu. Roll call.
Mayor, can I ask a question?
Ms. Rossi, go right ahead.
I just have a question in regards to what's the plan that going to be when they come back from this conference to implement it in the different schools? Because I definitely do believe that a conference like this is needed, but then I see like 2 from the Butler, 2 from Lowell High, Shaughnessy, and so the Lincoln School. So how are we going to implement that throughout the district? And is there a plan to report on this out and get it to the rest of the school? And you don't even have to answer now, if you could maybe even put it in the form of like a report of like how the information is going to be disseminated to the rest of the district.
Mr. Superintendent?
Thank you, Mr. Rossi. I think it's a terrific question, and I'll be happy to report back to you on that. And as I understand it, you'd like to know how the learnings from that conference are going to be implemented in the district. I think it's a great question. It's one we should expect of all conferences we send people to. So we'll report back to you on that.
Thank you.
Motion was made and seconded. Roll call.
Mr. Lay?
Yes.
Ms. Martin? Mayor Rourke?
Yes.
Mr. Bahu?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Rossi?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty?
Yes.
7 yeas.
Mr. Superintendent?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am interjecting, if you don't mind. I'm conscious that Ms. Martin singled out one series of jobs from the ones that were proposed because they were time sensitive related to the adult education program. It occurs to me that under 910, those job descriptions are all grant funded and they're related to summer school. And I wondered if the committee might entertain the idea of approving
Motion
those.
by Ms. Doherty to put 910 back to the agenda to vote for this evening. Seconded by Ms. Martin. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. 910. Approval of some job descriptions and permission to post. We will take.
Could we just bundle them?
Yeah, take all three at once. Thank you, Mr. Bahu. Need motion to approve. All three roll calls. Need a motion to approve and post the early childhood summer school teacher position. Need a motion to approve and post the early childhood summer school paraprofessional position. And need a motion to approve and post the early childhood summer school program administrator position by Ms. Doherty, second by Ms. Martin on all three. Madam Clerk, roll call.
What? I'll help you. Who is this, Ms. Doherty, Ms. Martin?
Yes, for all three.
Okay. Mr. Lay?
Yes.
Ms. Martin? Yes. Mayor Rourke?
Yes.
Mr. Bahu?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Rossi?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty?
Yes.
7 yeas.
Late in that finance subcommittee agenda, so that's pretty good. All right. Communications, 11.1, 2024 graduation date and Lowell High School commencement speaker. Need a motion to adopt the communication by Mr. Conway, seconded by Ms. Doherty. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. You get a free one there. 12.
Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Conway.
Can I, through you to the superintendent, there was a motion on a number of years ago with a commencement speaker at Lowell High School would be picked from the distinguished alumni. Has that gone by the wayside? I remember putting that motion on, and the first speaker was George Barakis. So what has happened in the, has that been changed?
I don't know, Mr. Conway. I'm happy to look into it. I don't know what process they used. I was unaware of that.
I'll get you the date on it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Interested in the gig, Mr. Conway?
Sorry?
Interested in being the speaker?
No, thank you.
Okay, all right. We'll get you in distinguished alumni first, all right? We're going to go from there. Section 12, professional personnel, 12.1. The members of the United Teachers of Lowell hereby donate 19 sick leave days to Alexandra Elmerick, Maury school teacher. Need a motion to approve the professional personnel by Ms. Martin, second by Ms. Doherty. Roll call.
Mr. Lay?
Yes.
Ms. Martin? Mayor Rourke?
Yes.
Mr. Bahu?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Ms. Del Rossi?
Yeah, yes.
Ms. Doherty? 7 yeas.
Motion to adjourn by Ms. Del
Before
Rossi.
we adjourn, but can I just say I haven't been making it to the Lowell High School building committees. Fred Bahu has, and I discussed this with him, and he'd be more than happy to be officially on the Lowell High School building committee. So could we vote to have him be officially on the Lowell High School building committee? Because I've been slacking.
Motion by Mr. Rossi to have Mr. Bahu on the Lowell High School building committee, seconded by Ms. Doherty. All those in favor say aye. Motion passes. Motion to adjourn by Mr. Conway, seconded by Mr. Bahu. Good night.
Very quick. Not bad.